British Prime Minister Theresa May took a political gamble by calling for last week's general election. That gamble blew up in her face. She sought to bring stability to government but achieved the direct opposite. She failed to get the parliamentary majority she needed, as she put it in her words, to strengthen her hands in Brexit negotiations. Those talks are only days away. On the program tonight, we examine the political and economic implications of this situation and what it means for Nigeria and, of course, Britain. I am Segun Ojumu, and this is Hindsight. Segun Ojumu. On this program, we'll be bringing you news, views, and exclusive interviews with
security that cut across humanitarian aid.
It becomes easier to do business in Nigeria. Now, these are uncertain times in the United Kingdom. An election which was meant to ensure stability has achieved the very opposite. The Conservative Party, led by Theresa May, went into the general election full of confidence it would secure a majority in Parliament. She fell 10 seats short. She got re-elected to represent her Maidenhead constituency, but not all her colleagues were that lucky. After she was returned winner at her constituency, Theresa May did her best to put on a brave face. At the time, it was becoming clear she would not be getting the majority she so badly needed in Parliament. Let's bring you what she said.
Thank you to all those who have once again supported me as the Member of Parliament for Maidenhead. It is a huge honour and a privilege to be elected as the Member of Parliament for this constituency, and I pledge that I will continue to work for all my constituents as I have done over the period of time that I have been your Member of Parliament. As I say, it's a huge honour. This is a wonderful constituency, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to see improvements, further improvements, for the life of those who are living here in the Maidenhead constituency. As we look more widely across the country, of course, returns are still coming in. We have yet to see the full picture emerging. Votes are still being counted. But at this time, more than anything else, this country needs a period of stability. And if, as the indications have shown, if this is correct, that the Conservative Party has won the most seats and probably the most votes, then it will be incumbent on us to ensure that we have that period of stability, and that is exactly what we will do.
Now, standing outside number 10 Downing Street later that day, she told the country and indeed the world she will be forming a government which will ensure stability and lead the Brexit talks, which are begin days from now. Here is more on what she had to say.
I will now form a government that can provide certainty and lead Britain forward at this critical time for our country. This government will guide the country through the crucial Brexit talks that begin in just 10 days and deliver on the will of the British people by taking the United Kingdom out of the European Union. It will work to keep our nation safe and secure by delivering the change that I set out following the appalling attacks in Manchester and London, cracking down on the ideology of Islamist extremism and all those who support it, and giving the police and the authorities the powers they need to keep our country safe. The government I lead will put fairness and opportunity at the heart of everything we do, so that we will fulfil the promise of Brexit together and, over the next 5 years, build a country in which no one and no community is left behind. A country in which prosperity and opportunity are shared right across this United Kingdom. What the country needs more than ever is certainty. And having secured the largest number of votes and the greatest number of seats in the general election, it is clear that only the Conservative and Unionist Party has the legitimacy and ability to provide that certainty by commanding a majority in the House of Commons. As we do, We will continue to work with our friends and allies in the Democratic Unionist Party in particular. Our two parties have enjoyed a strong relationship over many years, and this gives me the confidence to believe that we will be able to work together in the interests of the whole United Kingdom. This will allow us to come together as a country and channel our energies towards a successful Brexit deal that works for everyone in this country, securing a new partnership with the EU which guarantees our long-term prosperity. That's what people voted for last June. That's what we will deliver. Now let's get to work.
British Prime Minister Theresa May. Then I should say here that over the last few hours, Theresa May has met with the DUP leader, that is the Democratic Unionist Party leader, Arlene Foster. That the agenda, how to make their coalition work. Now, joining me in the studio to talk more about this and the fallout from that election is a British citizen and, of course, also a Nigerian citizen. His name is Kachi Okezie. He's a legal practitioner and management expert. Mr. Okezie, thank you very much
it's a great pleasure
for coming on the show once again.
Yes, good to be back here.
You and I were having a conversation on the phone last week, and you know, you were very confident it was going to go.
I was.
Yes, but that didn't quite happen. No. How shocked were you?
I was stunned. I had no doubts that she would win, but I wasn't really prepared for this the sort of surge of support against her.
From the Labour Party?
Particularly almost on the crest of a wave of Brexit. I had thought that the UKIP party, the UK Independence Party, would have followed through, you know, with their views and their vote in support of a government that's delivering what they voted for. But they seemed to be sending a completely different message, and you know, almost as if our job is done. We've finished our job, you know.
They relaxed too soon.
We've delivered, and then you take it from there. So the support for Labour, to me, was the biggest surprise in this election. Yeah.
And that of course, came mostly from young voters.
Well, yes, there was a lot of interest because of the manifesto that Labour put forward. Labour put forward a manifesto that spoke directly to the needs of students, to the needs of the elderly. So something like the whole area of social care and the National Health Service. You know, right now, the National Health Service is Britain's baby, and so they don't joke with it. And I think Labour, it's difficult to say whether the sums were adding up in terms of how it was going to be paid for, but you know, you found voters who appeared not to care how it was going to be paid for, but the fact that somebody connected with them in terms of their needs.
All right, let's talk a bit about, you know, how the numbers now. The Conservatives lost their House of Commons majority, of course, you know, going from 331 to 318. And then while Labour increased its MPs, number of MPs from 332 to 262.
That's right.
Some say that's enough ground for the PM to resign. What do you think?
Yeah, people will always say that. Personally, what I think, and I don't think even those who are calling for, or who have been calling for her to step aside, that would be, in my view, too much of a gamble, given the huge negotiations coming in. Stability, whether she got it the way she wanted it or not, is what's required. Okay, I don't think this is the time, you know, to bring on a substitute. This is not the time for the changing room and the dressing room. This is the time for continuity. And so whatever the size of the majority, which I think is what she's working on at the moment, whatever the size of the majority, the important thing is that this is not the stage at which you bring in a neophyte into the negotiation. She's already the face of the Brexit government as it is.
Yeah.
And the European partners are waiting.
Yes.
And they're very anxious to move on. And
yeah.
this has been because of the attitude that Britain has piled up for itself over the years. And the Europeans are kind of fed up to the back teeth of their relationship with Britain. And they want that clarified, as you heard Angela Merkel making clear that they're not prepared to wait one day.
They want to talk to
That's right.
yesterday.
So let's get it done, yeah.
All right, a few hours ago, that's the PM, the Prime Minister, met with the DUP leader, Alan Foster, and part of what was on the agenda was, the issue of terrorism. And of course, Brexit came up. No surprise there. But, is this alliance, is it an alliance that you think can work? Because both of them represent different ends of the spectrum, really. The DUP, as you well know, is socially conservative. They still don't agree with gay marriage and all of that. So is this an alliance that you think can work?
I'm going to put it this way.
Right.
We are in very uncertain times.
Right.
Looking back to the U.S. elections, we have been going through a period of one shock after another. Pundits and analysts seem to be losing their jobs now. I know that TV stations like Sky called this thing wrong twice on the night because I stayed up to watch it.
Right.
They had to revise their exit polls. Everybody was revising it. We are beginning to lose the credibility that the media, the observers, and pollsters used to have in elections with what is happening now.
It used to be pretty certain.
Absolutely. There is something happening that I think we need to really spend time to learn about.
Right.
Yes, I don't think she would have proceeded if she didn't think, in terms of the relationship with the DUP. The DUP are going to be a difficult partner in the House. Not because of what they do or don't do, but because of who they are.
Yeah.
There's a very strong perception on the other side, the Irish.
The Northern Ireland.
Exactly. The Republicans would not sit in the House of Commons because they would not swear allegiance to the Queen, which is why you have the situation that you have. So this is the policy of the Irish parliament or governance structure that still has a place in Westminster. So already they are viewed as the other side of an argument. So that means whatever they do or don't do, there's a counterbalance. And so that needs to be managed very carefully. In terms of some of the issues, specific issues that they have, the abortion rights, in terms of choice, and also gay rights, lesbian and gay rights.
Right.
These are things that didn't matter so much a decade ago. But they're front burner issues now. They're big issues now. And so they will have a lot of interest. And so I think they need to be treading very carefully over this. Yeah. But from what I see, I'm particularly, my eyes were focused on two key people.
Who and who?
And those were Michael Gove
Okay.
and the Mayor of London.
Okay.
It seems to me now that they have been reassured.
Okay.
Okay. So with that out of the way, if I'm correct, then I think the government will move on.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break now, and then we'll return with more. During that break, we're going to show you some of the headlines in the British papers during the weekend. Stay with us. All right, welcome. We are still here, and I'm still here with Mr. Kachi Okezie. He's a legal practitioner, he's a lawyer, and of course a British citizen, of course, as well as a Nigerian citizen. Now, you saw some of those headlines there. There is a dismay.
It's always good to see the sun at work, sun at his best, the mirror. Those are the things you enjoy. The British tabloids, the red tops do their job very well.
Okay, now let's look at the wider implications of the general elections. Let's come back home to Nigeria. What would you say this means for a country like Nigeria? Or let me start by saying, what can we learn from the British elections?
A lot, an awful lot, everything.
Okay.
You may not. I wouldn't encourage anyone to learn calling an election. Their system is slightly different to ours.
Okay.
So you have a period of 5 years within which you must call the election. So there's an upper limit.
Yes. Okay.
Unlike ours, which is definite and set. Okay.
Yeah.
So ours is more like the American one.
Yeah.
So you have a period, within which you must call it.
She still had 3 years, before calling.
That's why it was a gamble.
Yes.
It was. People think it was arrogant of her.
Yeah. Hubris.
To have assumed that she would just flick and then get the support. It doesn't work like that. That also exposes why people think she was completely out of touch with the country.
Right.
She's paid the price and is still paying the price. For us, oh gosh, what do you want to hear?
Okay.
First of all, security.
All right.
I didn't see the sort of massing for war that we do here because we're having elections, ordinary local government elections, and it's as if we're going to war. Okay.
But there was security built because of the terrorist attacks that happened days before.
And much of the security you saw that even then was mainly policing the exterior.
Right.
It's just key people like the Prime Minister that you had with security inside the rooms, inside the halls. Those are usually community centers, leisure centers, and city places. Those are the places they use for these things. And you saw it was very civil, okay? And for us, I didn't see, did you notice, there was no professor in all the returning officers. I don't know where you get, I have no idea where we get that in Nigeria, that everybody
has to be a professor.
INEC has to be a professor. And this is the enclave. So are we, by that, accepting that whatever it is that makes us choose professors is now showing us that even professors can't deliver decent elections? That is what we're dealing with. That's the reality. So it was ordinary folk. You could see them.
Yes.
You could see the precision, the openness. You could see conflict, being resolved in a very mature way. Yeah. You had 3 or 4 recounts.
Yes, there was a returning officer who called somebody else, but that error was quickly corrected.
Immediately corrected.
I had a good laugh.
Shake hands. I'm not aware that there's any case, any election tribunal, election petition tribunal, post-election matters going on here and there, people fighting, ballot boxes going missing. It's a long track for us to cover. We have a long journey ahead of us. So many things to learn from there. Also, the fact that the citizen has a voice, and this election is always about your ability to communicate. Theresa May got this thing so badly wrong because of a simple failure in communicating policies. Okay? And both internally, in terms of the Tory party, and externally, what has happened is that people who have a view about about social Britain really caused this problem for her. Okay? And so that arrogance can cost you. This is why they've gone the other way. When Tony Blair was there, he was accused of taking election, way into the arena of marketing. That it became more like a business, a commercial activity, where you had market research and focus groups and PR people. It was run by PR all over,
experts.
Okay, that was different. Now they've gone the exact opposite way, and it cost them because if you went the marketing and PR way, you wouldn't have overlooked the fact that the core message in your manifesto did not connect. You would have had opportunities to pick that up in a focus group. So I see part of the lesson of this being that in future, And I'm sure she will reflect that in the appointments. I have a few contacts in there.
Okay.
And I know what they're talking about now.
Yes.
I think they will now begin to bring back some of the, and I think Alistair Campbell, Blair's main, honcho in that, was making that point on election night. I think they're going to begin to change the way they communicate, both within the party and also outside the party. There's a very strong critic. Nigel Evans is an MP that I know personally.
Okay.
And he is extremely vocal, but very intelligent, very smart. Okay. He actually set out what I think was one of the most effective, post-election analysis of the problem. Why they arrived where they arrived at.
Okay, we don't have much time left. We only have a few minutes, but 7 Nigerians were elected into the parliament.
That's right.
So what does that say? Because
it says something. It says there was no federal character. It says there was no state of origin. Okay, and so it tells you, it shows you what can happen where a society wants to be run on merit and not on very narrow ethnic and religious and other parochial considerations. That's what you get. Nigerians achieve everywhere. Nigerians are successful everywhere, but they're successful because the environment
allows them to be,
provides a level playing field, and it brings out the best in them. So that goes to show you 7 on the night. And it's not the first time. It's the first time we got that number. But you haven't done the council elections. When you do the council elections and the mayorals, you see Nigerians everywhere. You see Nigerians everywhere, all over the country, as mayors, as council leaders, and all that. So a lot of lessons for us. I mean, we need to be sober about some of this things and do a deep reflection. But I think we need to start that conversation right now.
Okay, I'm sure we're going to have much more time to have that conversation, but
right.
The time is always short, but we have to leave it for now.
Right.
Thank you so much for being on the show. That with Kachi Okezie. He's a legal practitioner, a management expert, and is also a British and Nigerian citizen. And that's all we have time for as we come to the end of this edition of Hindsight. It's been a lovely conversation with you, sir. Let's keep the conversation going online. We are on Twitter. Tweet us and we'll tweet you right back at Hindsight STV, or you can email us hindsightsilverbird@gmail.com. I'll see you again same time next week. I'm Shegun Ujumu. Goodbye.
Thank you.